Good afternoon, my good people. Welcome back to another edition of the Real Life Real Estate Investing Show, where we talk about real life real estate situations, but we bring you real life real estate solutions. I'm your host, Glenn Glasper, affectionately known as Mr. Dial Out of a Dime. And my guest today is a gentleman that I'm excited to have a conversation with. I can't wait to get into the information that he's going to be sharing with us today. But I want to give a little bit of background about him. Dave Seymour is the CEO of Freedom Venture Investments, also star of Flipping Boston on A&E's network. After 16 years as a firefighter and paramedic, Dave launched his career, rapidly becoming one of the nation's top real estate investors. You know, I like to talk to these guys. Within the first few years, Dave had transacted millions of dollars of real estate and become one of the nation's leading experts in both residential and commercial transactions. His unabridged passion for business and real estate put him on the radar of A&E television network, as well as multiple news networks or news organizations, including CBS, ABC, CNBC, Fox News, and CNN. Needless to say, he's going to be my new best friend. The New York Times reported that Dave Seymour's Flipping Boston posted the highest ratings ever for the A&E network for that time of the airing. Dave has been sought after as a tell it like it is mentor and motivator in real estate with a track record of unmatched success everywhere he reaches. Dave is well known for doing business alongside investors of all experience levels. He has partnered with investors on their very first deal, as well as guided some of the largest investment firms in the nation through complex transactions. There's no one more committed to the success of others than Dave Seymour. Dave's greatest joy in life comes from being a husband and father, both of which are true motivators for all he achieves. Man, listen, I've just had an opportunity to speak to him for just like a couple of minutes, and I've learned so much more about him in that time. So I'm going to say this, guys. I want you to listen real close. This guy has the coolest accent I've heard in a long time. So don't pay attention to this yet, though. You got to listen to the words that are coming out of his mouth, though. So without further ado, I'm going to bring on my guest, Mr. Dave Seymour. Dave, I hope you didn't hear me tell the people about your accent. You didn't hear that part, did you?
I tell you, man, I heard it all.
You heard it all.
I have like an out-of-body experience. I go back to my days as a student. Like, we're always students, but I go back to day one,
Definitely.
sitting in the front row of a seminar somewhere, thinking to myself, man, this guy sounds really good.
Right.
Oh, whatever he says, I'm going to do. It's amazing when somebody takes the story and boils it down into a couple of segments. And then says, from this to this to this, it's an absolute blessing, man. It's a blessing to be on this with you as well. So I appreciate you finding time to talk to me, man. No hierarchy. We all put on our pants the same way. We just got a little different experiences in life. That's all. You know what I'm saying?
I think I may have a few more pounds on me than you do, Dave.
Dude,
so
listen,
I'm beating you in that area.
Hold on. I ate my way through COVID.
I think that's where we are here.
Friend of mine says to me, check this out, Glenn. He says to me, people are going to come out of COVID one of three ways: either a hunk, a chunk, or a drunk.
Right.
And I don't drink. I've been sober a long time, so I'm good there. But I definitely like to partake of a few carbohydrates. You know what
Absolutely.
I'm saying? So yeah, for sure. Crazy world, huh?
Dave, listen, I want to tell you thank you so much for joining us today. I know you have so much information to offer, and I know you're going to, wow the folks with, a ton of the stuff that you're going to be sharing with us today. And I know I gave a little bit of an insight of who you are, but kind of share with the folks a little bit more about who you are. I can read this from the paper, but I know you can make it jump off the paper. Tell us a little bit more about how you got started.
Yeah, no worries. So you mentioned the accent, right? I did a little research on you. You're originally from Motor City, so come on now.
Yes, sir.
All right, you don't have the full Atlanta twang going on.
Not yet. I don't know why it hasn't happened to me yet. I guess I probably
don't know, bro.
Forward to
I don't know. You know what? I love accents anyway, but I set you off camera. I'm kind of like a blue collar guy in a white collar world.
Yes.
I'm originally from London. London, England, mate. You know what
Oh,
I mean? I'm a
great, great, great.
Chelsea supporter. Yeah, I could talk like that all the time. You wouldn't understand half of what I'm talking about. But yeah, I grew up in a pretty solid working class family. You know, my dad was heating and air conditioning guy. My mom worked as a secretary in a bank, and you know, England is. I love home. Don't get me wrong. I'm a naturalized citizen of the U.S., but England is very structured in their haves and have-nots. You know what I mean? We'll leave it at that. We won't make it a political statement, but it just is. And you know, I came to the States in 1986. I was a young gun. I was just turned 20 years old, and you know, I don't know. I kind of like always felt inside that something was kind of amiss. Like I didn't fit well into, you know, 9 to 5.
Right.
And trust me, man, it's not that I was afraid of work. I worked my ass off, or my assets off, however you want to get away with it, right? Can we say ass? We can say ass.
Absolutely. Yeah,
We
definitely.
can say that, right? I'll say arse with an English accent. It sounds
Right.
like arse. You know, I worked my arse off. I was, because I was always trained to trade time for money. It was in my DNA. But anyway, I came to the States. I had some challenges. I lived in Wheeling by God, West Virginia. I then moved up to New England. Up here in New England, I was very blessed to. A friend of mine said to me, he said, "You should get one of those really good government jobs, Dave." And I'm like,
Oh, wow.
you know what I mean? I'm like, well, what do you mean? Yeah, right. Good government job. You know, police officer, firefighter, teacher, mailman. You know, something good, dude, because you're going to get a pension, and you'll be able to get a house, and it'll be awesome. And
Right.
you know, I tried out for a couple of different positions, and anyway, I ended up as a firefighter, and I worked as a firefighter and a paramedic in the city of Lynn, Massachusetts, which is just north of Boston. And it's funny, they call it Lynn, the city of sin. You never come out the way you went in.
Wow.
We had, you know, we had our challenges. We had our gangbangers, and we had some crime, and we had fires, and we had chaos. And to be very honest with you, Glenn, I loved it. I loved chaos. I loved being on the edge. I loved the adrenaline rush.
Wow.
I loved being the first firefighter in the building and the last one out. I loved the camaraderie, the teamwork, the solidarity, the commonness of purpose. Nothing better than showing up to a medical call knowing that I got the right drug in the box and I can save a life, right? That's empowering. It was cool.
Absolutely.
But there was a problem. Just a
Uh-oh.
the problem was, and I call it today, I was a financial donkey. I had no education around money. I knew how to trade time for money. Fire department, I worked construction, I worked retail security, I worked 120 hours a week.
Wow.
And I had the spending habits of somebody who, you know, worked a lot more than that, we'll say. And you know, I was really good at keeping up with the Joneses, and just, I was stupid with money. I didn't understand it. I didn't understand credit. I didn't understand that debt is a powerful tool rather than something bad. Oh my God, get out of debt.
Right.
So anyway, I learned a lot of lessons, and I found myself in a pretty dark place. I'll be very frank with you. I was losing my home, 2007, early 8, to pre-foreclosure. I was contemplating a short sale. It cost me a marriage. You know, marriages tend to fall apart more around finance than they do around all the other things we would think marriages fall apart for.
Yes.
And it was a tough time. And I was in my pickup truck, and I'm screaming and shouting to my God, and I'm like, you know, I've done everything I'm supposed to do, man. I don't lie, I don't cheat, I don't steal, I show up.
Wow.
You know, all right, I've had some challenges in my personal relationships, but who doesn't? You know, and I'm screaming at him. You know, what the heck? What are you doing? I'm a good guy. This isn't supposed to happen. And there was a commercial came on the radio. You know, free 1.5 hour seminar coming to your neck of the woods. Teach me foreclosure. And the rest, they say, my friend, is history. And I heard somebody speak that day, and I never ever thought I would be saying the same things myself 10 years later, consistently for 10 years, teaching myself. But the guy said to me, he said, you know, if you think differently, around capital. If you think, he said, if you let other people control your income, you'll never reach where you want to go. He said, and if you don't pay attention to your money, he said, I promise you somebody else is.
Wow.
And that was deep, man. That hit home for me, right?
I imagine, yes.
Who's controlling your capital? And he said, if you allow somebody else to do it, he said, that's a choice. Some people do. And there are people all across this country, incredibly, wealthy people who still let somebody else determine, financial futures and stuff.
Wow.
So anyway, I was sold, man. I mean, it was almost like the stars opened up and I got a clear path. And I went out and I started doing real estate. I followed the classes that I had invested in, and I got a mentor, and I started listening to other people, and I kind of separated from the negativity. Imagine this one, going in the firehouse, right? All my boys are there in the recliners. It's on a night shift. We're just hanging out. We're having some supper. And I start talking about, I'm going to be a real estate investor, right? And they just looked at me and said, shut up, Seymour, and sit down. It's your turn to do the dishes, So that was hard, man. It was hard to separate from a different mindset. But, we put feet on the street. We just implemented what I learned, made a commitment, never looked back. And, it's been an amazing journey for sure. So anyway, kind of long-winded, but you get the point, right? I wasn't born into wealth and financial intelligence, that's for sure.
That's great. And I thank you for sharing that story, Dave. I mean, we have so many things in common, already. It's very interesting to hear a story like that, especially when you're talking about, you heard the idea of becoming a real estate investor, and you got it in yourself and in your mind that this is something that you could do. And when you start sharing it with other people, they're like, get out of here, you're crazy.
Yeah. It's funny, isn't it? You know what it was is, it's like, I've said this so many times to so many different people over the years. They say, Dave, what could I do first? And I always say this: if you can't financially invest in learning this business today, that's okay. I get it. I said, but how about you as an individual identify what's special about you, right? What do you have that other people don't have? And if I use an example of the younger generation, so I'm in my early 50s. I know I look like I'm in my early 30s, but I'm in my early 50s. And if you think about it, I wasn't raised in the world of computers. And to bring somebody into my business who has that exceptional skill set has been totally invaluable to me. So what is it that you have is a question an individual could ask himself, and how can I bring that to the marketplace? It doesn't look, money is easy, dude. And I know that sounds crazy, but you understand what I'm saying. Money's everywhere.
That's
true. I don't care how much money there is.
Right.
What's your value? How are you impacting other people in a positive way? I mean, we've got so much craziness and negativity in our world today. I think the goodness needs to rise up a little bit, right? And we can do that through education. You can supply fantastic housing to people who need safe, decent, affordable housing. We can do that as investors.
Absolutely.
And then you can go on the other end of the scale. There are doctors, lawyers, attorneys, dentists, high net worth people who are getting really crappy returns on their money, or they're doing these crazy roller coaster turns. Well, we can help those people as well. So it's not monetary value. It's service value. I did an event years ago with Tony Robbins up in Canada, and I was like emceeing an event and doing my thing, and he said something, and I can't remember the context in which he said it, but I never forgot it. And it was, how do you make $1 million? You charge 1 million people $1 to help them. Isn't that special, right?
Wow.
So, we kind of tend to have a society that's based more around what can you do for me, whereas as real estate investors, we have an opportunity to open a conversation with what can I do for you.
Absolutely.
Which it kind of, for some people that goes against the grain. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
So.
Yes.
Those are like my big picture philosophies on that stuff. And, the journey's been pretty amazing, landing a TV show and all the other stuff we've done along the way,
That is absolutely amazing. I know a friend of mine was on the A&E network that did a show as well. Peter Pasternak, and we're going to have him come on.
Oh yeah, Peter's awesome. Yeah, Peter, what a character Peter is.
He is. He is. Love him to death, man. He's got so much energy. If I could bottle that and sell it, man, I might not do real estate again.
Is he still with Brian? Is he still with Brian Tro? Are they still business
Yes.
partners?
Yes. Brian
Awesome.
Tro, David Faircloth, Denny Faircloth. Yeah, great guy.
Yeah,
great guy.
yeah. The production company that produced their show also produced our show. So Peter and the other guys that were doing Flip This House, I think it was. They were pre market crash,
Right.
And then Flipping Boston, we were the first one to come out after the market.
Oh,
okay. And, you know, during that 2-year, 3-year period of time, there wasn't a human being on the face of this planet. Well, maybe the planet, but there was nobody in the States who wanted anything to do with real estate. It was like we had I don't know about you. Remember, they'd say, "What do you do?" I'd say, "I'm a real estate investor," and they go, "Ooh,
right."
I'm sorry. I hope that's not catching. You know what I mean? Like it was a. We should have been wearing masks back then. Yeah, I'm a real estate investor. I'm going to contaminate you. But yeah, say hi to Peter for me, please. Him and I are connected a couple of times.
Yeah, he's going to be coming on the show with me. Actually, we were supposed to get him scheduled last week. You know, but trying to, you know, I got to catch Peter. You know, he's doing some amazing things. So, you know, just to be able to tell people I know him is, you know, it works for me. So
that's cool. That's cool. Yeah,
I'll wait till the schedule opens up.
I'll take the associations no matter what they look like. I already dropped the Tony Robbins bomb. You know what I mean? I could keep
exactly.
going. You know? Yeah. I tell you though, it's crazy. I remember sitting in a firehouse watching Peter.
Oh wow.
Watching those shows. And you know, and I was early in my education career and talking to the guys on either side of me, and I'm like, I might do that one day. You know what I mean? I could do that, you know? And then again, taking the, you know, there's a few in there that were like, that's awesome, dude, go get it. But there's also, you know, it's that, what do they call it? Lobsters in a bucket or crabs in a bucket.
Crabs
you know
in the bucket, yeah.
When one crab tries to jump out of that bucket, they're like, you ain't, where you going?
Right.
Down here. Yeah. So yeah, that's cool. Peter was a cool character. I think it would probably be like herding cats. You know what I mean?
Yes.
You know that entrepreneur. They're the ones that. Yeah, I'm kind of that way, but it's good. It's good stuff.
Great. Yeah. So my next show, you know, if you happen to watch the next show, I'll be talking about my friend Dave Seymour now.
There you go. There you go. I know a guy.
Right.
It was I was heavily involved in the education space. It was funny. I was the guy who was in education and then got a TV show instead of getting a TV show and then going into education.
Wow.
I did it the other way around. The guys that I started learning from, they started seeing that I was getting results, and they said to me, you know, would you like to teach this? And I'm thinking to myself, teach? What are you talking about? Teach? I'm not going to teach. What am I going to teach? And they're like, no, Dave, the story resonates, right? The you know, from A to B isn't always a straight line, you know? And I started teaching, and and I was good at it. I'm going to be frank. I did very well, you know, teaching and also selling. I mean, selling education. And I got to really see the good, the bad, and the ugly in that industry. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
So when the TV show popped for us, I said to my ex-partner Peter, I said I'd love to be able to teach a little, and you know, we got to do it on a large scale. I did a couple of events with Damon John from Shark Tank.
Wow,
that was fun. He was a cool guy. He's a real cool guy. He said one day, he said, again, I can't remember the context. You know how some people, like, things stay in your head and you never forget them, like they were impactful at that moment in time, that 30-second soundbite. Damon said to me one time, he said, I will always show up to give somebody a hand up, but I won't show up to give somebody a hand out.
Right.
Does that make sense?
Great stuff, yes.
So, you know, again, to your point before we started the call today, dude, it's all good. Let's just talk. A couple of guys in the business. Let's just talk. If something valuable comes out of this conversation for somebody who's listening to us, then so be it. And if not, it's still all good because I got a new friend in Atlanta now. You know what I mean? That's how I look at it. You know? So yeah, it's been a crazy journey through the TV show and that kind of stuff for sure.
Yeah, so let's talk about that. Let's talk about how. So you just happened to be flipping some houses, doing your thing, and somebody came along and said they wanted to put you on TV. How did
They
how did
said you are, yeah, a guy pulled up. It was an amazing time. He pulled up and he saw me on a ladder, and I was doing a little shingle siding. And he said, "You are the most amazing looking human being I have ever met. I want to give you." No, he didn't. I didn't have that's not. There wasn't that at all. It was nothing.
It was sounding good.
You were there though, weren't you? You were on that
Right.
journey. No, I was in education, right? So I was in the seminar business, and I was teaching. And if you get involved in that world, we all know the power of marketing, right? If you're not marketing your business, you're not in business. So I got to meet and know a lot of the up and coming cutting edge internet marketers. And one of the guys, I can't remember who it was, I think it was Brunson, sent me a link, and he said, "D, try putting in this application. They're looking to bring house flipping back on TV." And I was still in the firehouse at the time. So there was a vanilla application that you could send in as to why you kind of sell yourself to them on why you should be on a TV show. And I knew that there would probably be thousands, if not hundreds of thousands. Everybody wants their 10 minutes of glory,
Right.
And I loaded my application with profanity, the worst profanity you could think of.
Wow.
Yeah. Name me a business. Go yourself, LLC. Don't waste my effing time. Get on a plane, train, or automobile. Don't waste my time. Get on a plane, train, or automobile. Come to Boston. Dave the firefighter. When everybody else goes running out, we go running in. I do my house flipping the same way. Don't call me. Go flip yourself. Silliness, right? What have I got to lose, man? So I hit the send button, and I would say within 5 or 10 minutes, the phone rang, and it was a 212 area code, which I knew was New York. And I pick up the phone. I go, "I thought I told you to not call me." And I hung up the phone. And I'm like, "Please call back." And the kid called back, and he was laughing. He was a lower kid on the totem pole. And he's like, he said you're either a lunatic or a genius. I said, "Is there a difference?" And stop wasting my time. I swore at him a couple of times. So that was how it started. They came out, they shot a little sizzle reel mini pilot. The executives at A&E made a comment to the film production company. The comment was, "That big English guy looks like he could really cause some problems. We'd like to see more of that anger." So then we started creating a TV show. We did 4 episodes. We were rated the highest rating in that time slot that they had. And next thing you know, they're like, "Okay, we need 13 more episodes." And I'm like, "What?" I said, "Peter, they want 13 more episodes." He goes, "I don't have 13 houses." I said, "Go find them, brother.
Right.
We're on TV now."
Right.
So that was how it started, man. So you had a camera up your rear end for like 4.5, 5 years. So
Wow.
it was interesting for sure. People liked it though, man. I mean, we seem to get a positive pop on it, and the only reason they shut it down was that A&E stopped doing that particular type of programming. It wasn't ratings driven. But then next thing you know, I'm sitting on the TV panel on Squawk Box on CNBC, and I'm getting invited in to do the Today Show and come hang out with Rachel Ray. And we just did Rachel.
Some of that, yeah.
Yeah, we just did Rachel Ray maybe 4 months ago. And the production company called Peter and I haven't been in business together for a couple of years. And I called the production girl back, like, who schedules all the stuff. I go, "What are you doing? Digging up old reality TV people?" I said, "What are you doing?" Maybe me and Dog the Bounty Hunter do a nice backsplash in the kitchen or something. I said, "Well, what are you doing?" She goes, "No, people like watching what you do." And I'm like, "Okay."
Yeah.
So, it's given us, it's been a blessing and a curse. A blessing in the sense of the national exposure and the doors that can be opened have been substantial. But it wasn't a great financial journey, we'll say, doing those TV shows. There's no Kardashian money over here, baby. You know what I mean? There's no money for a nice gadunk. So
Right.
none of that was going on. But yeah, it was definitely something that you can tell the grandkids about. You know what I'm saying?
Great stuff. Yeah, I mean, I imagine that had to be an amazing opportunity, especially for the exposure, you know. And I know you know you mentioned you were in education first.
Yeah.
So I picture you going and doing the show and, you know, kind of teaching through the process. Tell us a little bit about the education. Well, so what did you do? I mean, were you specifically teaching real estate before you got on the show?
Yeah, I was. I went to that seminar we talked about, and if you go to a seminar, and this was back in 2008, right? I came out right when the market was crapping out. But you know, if you think about the education space in 2008, it was kind of a little bit like the Wild Wild West.
Yeah.
And
Yes.
you know, and I didn't realize that myself. I came from a student perspective, but there was a guy that did a presentation on websites at some multi-speaker or trainer event that I went to, and he was a firefighter himself, but in California, and you know, I just approached him afterwards, and you know, I have a little bit of a flair for the comedic, shall we say?
Yes.
And I just said to this guy, I said, dude, you know, great presentation. I got your websites. He's like, and he was like, yeah, whatever. You know, he's all cool. I'm like, dude, I'm a firefighter. You know, you were a firefighter. You know, we're brothers.
Right.
Like, I'm trying to get that message across to him.
Right.
And he's like, oh, all right. So I got a little bit of credibility because we had the firefighter thing. And then I said to him, I said, tough crowd, man. I said, your comedy sucks. And he looked at me and he went, what? I said, yeah, you're laughing at your own jokes before you even get to the punchline, buddy. What are you doing? And he's like, well, what do you know about comedy? I said, well, I don't know. I might have done a little bit of stand-up comedy back in London. I don't know, maybe, right? And he's like, you're my new comedy coach. I go, what? He goes, yeah, I'm going to fly you down to Florida.
Wow.
He said, and I want you to watch me at my 3-day training. He said, and coach me up. And I'm thinking this guy's full of doo-doo caca, you know. Right. I think he's just, you know, he's just busting my chops. But no, man, he gave me $1,000 to go for 3 days.
Really?
And that's how the door opened for me. And I made a commitment to myself and my guy upstairs that I was not going to lie. I was not going to create something that wasn't real. I told my story from authenticity, and I've done that ever since. And you know, they would give me a PowerPoint, and I'd go teach, and then I'd sell a home study course or you know, some coaching or whatever, and I got a little bit of a commission for that. But what it did was it really elevated my network, because now I'm on the other side. You know, I'm on the other side of the curtain with the players, right. And you know, I got to see a lot of good. I mean, I got to see students really turn their lives around, and I also got to see some straight up dirtbags. I'm not going to sugarcoat that. I got to see people who were predatory, who weren't from service.
Wow.
And you know, a lot of people start this journey of real estate from a real sincere need for change, and it's usually financial, right? They say, I want more money. And really, it's not more money. I need more education, right? I got to know what I'm doing, because you pay for your education one way or another. True. And, you know, I enjoyed that world. I enjoyed traveling. I enjoyed connecting with people. I enjoyed being able to potentially do some business in the future with them. So it was a beautiful fit for me. But, you know, it's run its course today. It really has. You know, COVID has impacted that world dramatically. Wow, yes. You know, people are not going to go gather in large crowds. A lot of the you know, the connection will be hard to follow through on in those environments. Yes, because it's come on, let's be honest, it's an emotional scenario. All right, we don't have to sugarcoat it. We don't have to pretend we're all grown-ups, right? Yes, it's an emotional scenario. It was an emotional purchase for me. I had faith that if I did what I was told to do, my life would change financially. That's hope, right? It's almost selling hope. The mechanics of real estate are the mechanics of real estate, whether you're managing a $100 million fund like I am today, or whether you do your first wholesale transaction for $5,000. Right. You know, it works if you work it. It's that kind of philosophy. So, you know, the education space was very, very good to me. And I've always been very cognizant of, again, the authenticity around it and telling the truth, which is why I believe, you know, my personal brand, if you will, and the people that I've spoken for over the years. It's always been a positive experience. You know, some people are just people, right? They buy it and they think it's a scratch ticket, but you know, the people who actually put the effort in and follow the program and implement, you know, I believe that anybody can do it if they're given the right guidance and the right support to do it. You know what I'm saying? So
Absolutely.
yeah, education's been a trip, man. It's been fun.
Yeah.
It's been fun. Yeah.
That's one of the things that I always say, you know, it's kind of how, you know, the branding of real life real estate investing was born, you know, giving people some real insight to what happens in the business of real estate. I always preface everything when I talk about real estate and investing and all that. I say the business of real estate, because that's the part that many times gets disconnected when
Correct.
people are looking at getting into this thing because I want to make some money. I'm like, yeah, you can make money, but it is a business, and you can't just jump in and, you know, think that everything, like you said, like it's a scratch ticket, and just because you buy a course, they're going to start sending you checks.
Roll the dice, right?
Right.
Lucky seven. Look, man, I'm probably one of the most conservative investors you'll ever meet. I can say this with truth today. Let me double check before I make a statement. Yeah. Since I learned what I've learned and implemented it, I've never lost one dime of mine or anybody else's money in real estate, and that's almost 12 years now.
Wow.
Now, I have also walked away from deals that I've made the fatal mistake of tracking them through the MLS later and gone, oh,
right.
I should have done that one. You know what I mean? I should have done that one. But you know what? Here's the thing, like, Freedom Venture Investments and our company in general, we have a part of our motto, if you will. It's not that real estate is about competition. Real estate's about collaboration.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
There's plenty of money out there, and you know the old you know, OOGs of real estate, right? The original gangsters of real estate. Well, they were all keep it for themselves, right? The haves have nots. It's that old mentality. And you know, I found out very, very quickly that I do better financially if I give away more.
True.
You know what I'm saying? If I'm always concerned that everybody in the deal is a winner, I end up winning. Whereas if I'm trying to, pigs, what is it? Pigs get fat, hogs get slaughtered. It's that, you know, it's that kind of mentality. So, you know, I would never will in my career put anybody in a position where I wouldn't invest myself.
Definitely.
And because of that, because I'm that, you know, it's not even caution, it's professional.
Yes.
You know, if I could pat myself on the back, that's where I would pat myself on the back. It's not my DNA to talk about, you know, how good I am, but that's one area where I succeed where others fail. Is I never, and I mean that sincerely, never put anybody's capital, my own or anybody else's, in a position where there isn't a clarity to upside and profit.
Right.
If, you know, people have, I've walked away without exaggeration on the single family side, which is just kind of like a hobby today. You know, you do 4, 5, 6 of those in Boston, and they pay 50 to 100 grand. I mean, it doesn't get my heart rate up, right? But I've walked away from those in the past maybe 6 or 8 weeks, and people are like, "Why aren't you buying the deal? It's a no-brainer." Because they don't have the experience of what me and also my team have been through in 2007, 8, 9, 10.
Right.
When the market decided to slap some sense into everybody, right?
Yes.
I heard on a podcast the other day, Mike Tyson quote. He said, "Everybody's got a great plan until you get punched in the mouth."
You get punched in the mouth.
You know what I mean? So I know that we're going to get punched in the mouth.
Yeah.
I know it. I know it with certainty. I know it because common sense has to come into play at some point. So the people in the single family world that are trying to look, we do everything based off of after repair value. You know that as a professional.
Yes.
My absolutely. ARV numbers are wrong. Forget about it.
Yes.
unless I'm stealing the property, basically, right? Forget about it.
Yeah.
So, there's so many deals that have been flying around. And I just say to them, I say, are you confident that, it's 4-month, 5-month rehab, your after repair value is going to be there?
Wow.
Right?
Wow.
So they go, yeah, I'm confident. I say, okay, all right, I'll give you that one. How about this? How confident are you in your qualified buyer pool to take down the asset afterwards? Well, what do you mean? I said, what do you mean? What do I mean?
Right.
What I mean is this: what's the mortgage industry doing right now? Are they bullish? Are they bearish?
Right.
Is the mortgage industry going to change the FICO scores for your buyers? Are the DTIs going to get a little more interesting?
They've already changed the FICO scores.
Yeah, they have. Yeah, they have. So how are you gonna finance your buy, fix, and flip if you're not using all your own money? Well, I'm going to go to a hard money lender. Well, good luck with that. Because if you're buying it too tight with a hard money lender, guess what? There's no deal. There's no meat on the bone, because the hard money lenders have come back up on their points and their interest and their loan to values and their FICO scores.
Definitely.
So look, man, uncertainty and chaos. It's a double-edged sword. It really is. It's going to cause pain. It's going to cause anguish. Our country is going to go through some serious stuff again. Okay. There's always two sides to it. So be a good human being, take care of people, right? That's always paramount. But guess what? I'm also going to take care of mine and the people who are with me.
Absolutely.
And what I mean by that are the opportunities that are created because of COVID. Because when on the single family side, again, for example, when the forbearances come due, when the free money stops coming in the mailbox from the Trump train, right?
Yes.
When all of those strategies that are not built in fundamentals run their race, what happens now? Because here's what the bank says. The bank says, I'm glad you enjoyed your 6-month, 7-month, 8-month forbearance. That's over now. You owe me 8 months worth of mortgage payments.
There you go.
Plus you're due this month. And I know, as a financial illiterate, living paycheck to paycheck, that if that happened to me back then, I would have folded. I would have folded under questioning, Henry. I would have been all done. You know what I mean? To the line out of Goodfellas, it would have been all over.
Exactly.
And that creates opportunity for us as commercial investors, because we're going to see a number of transitions out of single family into the multifamily arenas. Huge opportunities, huge lack of inventory. So it's. Some people have been just sitting doing nothing the past 8 weeks, but there's also some players on the front line who have built business models to execute on what's coming next. Based off of fundamentals. So, I'm good at building big picture ideas. I'm just not great at filling in all the details, but I learned a long time ago, make a mess and then let the right people around you monetize it.
Listen, I think we're related somewhere along the line.
Yeah, it's like looking in the mirror when I look at you, man.
Look at this side by side view. I think we're starting to look alike a little bit.
Right. I think you've got maybe just a little more hair, maybe a little less hair. I don't know. You didn't have to worry about the barber during COVID, huh? You did okay.
Right. Not at all.
You already had the wall hair cutters.
My razor has become my best friend now.
Yeah, isn't that funny? I tried to find. I was like, I don't know, maybe 6 weeks into that stuff, man, and I couldn't take it anymore. I'm kind of like a short back and sides guy. Some of it's crawling back a little bit now, but I went online. I just want to get a pair of wall clippers, just the hair clippers. Just do a number 2 all over, give it a buzz cut. I'm good to go for a little while. Wear a cap if I don't feel cool. You couldn't find a pair of clippers anywhere. It's like a drug dealer. Hey, man, I got a wall hair clipper. It's an XL edition. I can give it to you for maybe $5,000. You know what I mean? Like yeah, supply and demand. You know what I'm saying? So
It
it's
became
nuts.
in as much demand as the mask, I guess.
Right. Your masks, your toilet paper, your hand sanitizer.
Right.
I don't
So
know, man. What do you think? I think the whole world's gone a little bit crazy. I don't know.
you know, it's so interesting to watch people and the way they respond to this thing. It's like, man, it's like watching tennis in some cases. Like this person over here said, this person over here said, it's like,
Yeah.
it's
Yeah, it's a little crazy. It's a little crazy. I don't know. Just wash your hands and don't cough and sneeze all over each other. I think. Didn't we learn that in kindergarten though? I think we learned.
I think this is one of those things where you unlearn and relearn all over again.
Stop picking your nose in traffic. We can see you. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
Some guy buried his finger up to the fifth knuckle. You know what I mean? And he comes out and orders a cup of coffee at Starbucks.
Oh my goodness! We won't be going in his direction.
No, we won't. Don't get in line behind that guy for sure.
Definitely. Wow. So tell me, I want to get into this. This is the part that I'm excited to talk about.
Yeah.
So you went from flipping houses, being like one of us regular guys, just flipping houses.
Stop it. Yes.
To now managing a fund, a commercial real estate fund. $100 million fund. Yeah. Let me get my notepad because this is where I have to really start taking notes.
Yeah.
How does that transition look? Tell us how that works out.
I was talking to, I had a call this week, and I then got in the bunker with our marketing team, right? And one of the guys on our marketing team, he said to me, I'm going to throw a question at you. He said, don't get pissed. I'm like, you can ask me anything. It's all good. He goes, why do I want to invest with you in commercial? He said, you're the flipping guy from TV.
Wow.
Right? That was like, I said, you're fired. I actually punched him in the head and then fired. But you know what it was? It was like from the mouth of babes. And something that I realized was this, is that, the TV show was great. But guess what? I've always been in commercial real estate. It just doesn't go on a TV show because on TV, it's not sexy.
Exactly.
There's no reveal at the end. There's right. There's none of that silliness.
No emotions.
Right. There's no emotion in it. None. Yeah. I do not get emotional about business like this. I get excited when everybody does well, but commercial real estate doesn't have the sexiness. It's not sexy. Let's just go there with it.
Right.
So, your question is how did I transition into what I'm doing now? And I'll shorten it up for you. COVID put me in this position, and here's why. House flipping, my own portfolio up north, liquidated about 75% of my assets up north because I'd more than 50% increased their value in about 4 years up north where I was up in Maine, where I had a portfolio with a partner.
Wow.
So I'm like, okay, what do I want to do next? And I actually started to open up a hard money lending branch, and we were going to brand it, right? The guy from the TV show is now Hard Money Lending. Come on, investors. I've got points interest. Come on in, let's do it. And it was fantastic, man. It was great. It was a fantastic business. And we got it up and running, and we were in our first week of originating loans. I had 7 loan originators. 7 in Massachusetts, just north of Boston, and a couple of guys in Cali working remote. And we had about $15 to $20 million in loans in the pipe coming through appraisal and underwriting, et cetera. And then COVID hit.
Wow.
And I was out of business in 3 days. And the reason I was out of business in 3 days is because my capital stack, my money, was a line of credit that we wrote the mortgages on one condition, that those mortgages were immediately purchased by the secondary and tertiary markets on Wall Street.
That's a lot of that happened. Yes, a lot of that.
So the takeout partners all said, we're not buying these anymore. So if they're not buying the notes, the line of credit dries up, got no money. Done, son. You're over. Forget it. You're out of business. Go home.
Absolutely.
And I'm like, ouch. I mean, I got tens of thousands invested in that business, and it's done. It's gone. It's a loss. So here's the thing telling the story. kind of goes full circle back to me sitting in my truck screaming and shouting at the man upstairs.
Right.
It really does. It really does. I'm telling you, Glenn, because I'm praying and I'm praying hard, and I'm like, you know, I'm blessed. I've got reserves. I'm not going to be on the street, but
Right.
you know, I'm still aggressive. I got to go. I got to earn. What's next? And a very dear friend of mine, who I met in the education space, who was also investing at a high level while he was teaching, a gentleman by the name of Walter Novicki, he's down in Fort Myers, Florida, called me out of the blue. What are you doing? I don't know. What are you doing? And here's what he said. He had spent the past 15 years of his career doing what are called commercial syndicated transactions in the Gulf Coast region of Florida.
Got it. Okay.
Florida has the largest population growth. It meets the demographic for age group and collegiate clients. And what it's also doing is as the age demographic is dropping, you're getting these millennials coming in and these younger generations coming in, and they don't want home ownership. They're not trained the way we were, right? Get a house, pay down your mortgage, live the American dream. They're
Right.
like, forget that. I'm okay renting. So that created opportunity. Plus what's going on with COVID, where folks are moving out of the bigger cities, there's a huge, huge opportunity down there. So Walter kind of like pitched me on the idea of taking his business model and putting it on steroids. So instead of you buy one asset maybe with 20 investors putting up the gap fund, the bridge fund between the acquisition and the money down, 70-30, whatever it is, 30%.
Got it.
If that deal goes sideways, then everybody's in challenge, right?
Yes. Yes.
There are a lot of the commercial investors who have put all of their eggs in the retail basket in the past year. So they've invested hundreds of millions of dollars in retail commercial assets. And we found out through COVID, people don't have to go to the store.
Right. Right.
So if you take, so let's say I'm an investor and I'm an accredited investor, a sophisticated investor, and I've got $250,000. I want to put $250,000 in. You know, I get a preferred rate of return, 6-7%. I get targeted returns, cash on cash, 8-10%. And then for a 5-6 year period of time that the capital is going to work, you know, I might get a 16 or a 20%, what they call IRR, internal rate of return.
Right.
But if all my money was in that one deal and it was a retail deal, well, now the sponsors of the deal are calling the investors saying, hey guys, I'm terribly sorry. Girls, I'm terribly sorry. There's no quarterly distributions this month.
Yes.
So I told you, I'm the most conservative guy under the sun. So I said to Walter, I said, we're not doing this, we're not doing this, and we're not doing this. He said, agreed. And you find a couple of, you know, powerhouses who are aligned. I said, single family, and I don't want multifamily, and I don't want the large apartment complexes, 250 and above. Let all the big boys have those. I said, and we'll take care of all the stuff that falls through the cracks.
Wow.
The mom and pops who don't know how to manage.
Right.
So I said to him, I said, how do we, you know, mitigate the risk for investors? Because real estate is risky. You can lose every single dime you have.
That's
but if you align yourself with professionals who don't lose money, who are always, you know, hedging the downside and accelerating the upside, you know, you can get fantastic returns that the stock market, you know, can't touch.
Absolutely.
So he said, look, to diversify, he said, let's raise a fund. So a fund is a dollar amount. The fund managers, myself, Walter, and our partner, Eric, we manage that fund. So we make multiple acquisitions inside the fund.
Wow.
And what that does is it offers an extra layer of diversity and protection to the investors coming in. At the same time, it gives us incredible buying power. So if you've got a checkbook with $100 million in it and you can move fast, guess what? You're going to buy up the very, very best deals.
Absolutely.
So we eliminate the competition while we're still servicing the sellers who need to get out because COVID has, you know, brutalized their balance sheet. So that's how we ended up where we are. We went live with the fund Monday of this week.
Congratulations.
We're doing a soft raise now. Just established relationships. We've been waiting for an opportunity to put money in. So that's all going on as we speak. And then week and a half out, we start the full marketing campaign. I can't mention who, but we're potentially bringing in another TV guy who's very well recognized for his entrepreneurial prowess, to also align, be a part of the team that we have going forward. So this gets my heart rate up. This is exciting.
That's the exciting part. Yeah.
Yeah, it's.
I can see why those $50,000 deals aren't as sexy anymore for you.
Yeah, and I got to be careful how I put that. You know what I mean? But if you do one thing one way for 8 years, 9 years successfully, a lot of entrepreneurs fall into the trap of it worked yesterday, so it's got to work tomorrow.
Got to work tomorrow. Yeah.
Doesn't no that danger, Will Robinson, danger. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
That's one of those times where, are you following herd mentality, or are you a true entrepreneur instead of a wantrepreneur, right?
This is true.
You know what I'm saying? If all the herd is running in one direction, and you'll hear it right now, residential real estate is awesome. Absolutely. Everybody's out bidding everybody. Come on, let's go. Yeah, you go that way. I'm going to do the firefighter thing. I'm going in the other direction.
Going in the other direction. Yeah.
And
be the one to rescue the ones that get caught in the fire. Like.
Yeah, dude. Yeah, that's for sure. Yeah. But it's also interesting. I had a call with an attorney this morning, a friend of mine. And I was just walking him through our website, Freedom Venture Investments. Freedomventure.com is our website. Okay. And I was walking him through because I know what I know and I know what I don't know. And what I don't always know is just how I perceive a website, how I perceive the interaction on a website. Doesn't mean that everybody else perceives it the same way. And I learned this in marketing very, very early on. Who is your avatar? And then pick 5, 10 of those people and have that group interaction. I've got a doctor who's a plastic surgeon, super guy, like down to earth. Like part of my mojo is to take the pretentiousness out of high finance, because there's so much pretension in it. I swear it's meant to keep people out rather than be inclusive and bring people in.
Yes.
So the people who potentially invest with us have to go through a qualification process, because money's everywhere. Just because somebody's got the money doesn't mean it's welcome in the fund. Absolutely. They got to earn that right, because they in essence they become a partnership with us. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like they rely on my expertise and I rely on their capital to keep everything moving. And then on top of that, we invest alongside them as well. So we put our money where our mouth is. Which is always a good experience for an investor. You know what I mean? Right. Ask your stockbroker if he's in all the same stocks that you are.
Right.
I always like
the one he's telling you to get in just to see if it's a good idea.
Yeah. Ask him to show you. Ask him to show you all the hidden fees. Right?
I want to make sure I got your website right. I'm sorry, freedomventuresinvestments.com.
No, just freedomventure.com.
Freedomventure.com. Okay.
.com.
Got it. We'll put that on.
You'll see my beautiful mug on there somewhere, I think. Okay. There you go, freedomventure.com. Yeah. That website is designed for primarily accredited investors who are looking for an above average rate of return.
Now, for the people that are watching that or maybe listening that are not 100% familiar of what an accredited investor is, can you share that with them just so we make sure we're educating them?
Yeah, you know what it is? It's pretension again. So
yeah, all right. Accredited investor. Y'all should know what that is.
You know what that is. It's crazy, isn't it? So the SEC, the Securities and Exchange Commission, is a governing body that wants to make sure that there's nothing predatory going on out there in the marketplace for investments. So a fund like ours is what's called an alternative investment. Some companies can allow what are called non-accredited. We don't, because we just want it to be tight. We want it to be right. We want to make sure all expectations are clear between us and a fund manager. So the SEC says an accredited investor, this is kind of like the piece that really upsets me about it. The SEC in essence is saying, dependent upon somebody's net worth or their annual salary, they have enough financial intelligence to make these decisions.
Right.
Really, right? That's what it says. So you
gotta have a good job to know how to.
That's right. I think about it. I when I was broke as a joke, $70,000 in credit card debt and losing my house, I think within 6 months, I had more financial intelligence than a lot of the people who have lent money to me over the years. And that's not morality. That's not dumb. It's none of that finger pointing crap. It's just exposure. I made a conscious decision to learn. So the SEC says if you have an annual salary as an individual of $200,000 or more, and you can show that past, I think it's 2 or 3 years on your tax return, with an expectation of making the same amount of capital or more the following year, you're an accredited investor. Right. If it's a household income, 2 people, it's 300,000 or more, or they require a net worth of $1 million, not including value of primary residence. Got it. Now, if that person meets that criteria, they are allowed into these kinds of investments where other people are not. We didn't choose to go accredited to eliminate anybody. We chose to go accredited with our first fund for proof of concept, to be honest with you, right? Because once you've got fund 1, it's funded, it's up and running, it's paying those 8 to 10% returns targeted. High IRR, internal rate of return, IRR over a 5 to 6 year period of time. Now you got some chops, okay? We have the track record through Walter's experience to show that it's a proven model, but maybe Fund 2 will be able to do what's called a Reg D fund, Reg A fund, sorry, Regulation A fund. I always think of Bob Marley and the Wailers. It's a Reg A fund, man. But that allows non-accredited investors into these kinds of transactions as well. So that's your lesson on Securities and Exchange Commission for the day.
Right.
I hope you all took really good notes.
Well, and I want to make sure. I just want to make sure that was clarified because oftentimes people are not 100% clear on what an accredited investor is. Yeah. Some people think I got good credit, I could be an investor. That's not what we're talking about.
Yeah, it's not your credit score.
Right.
It's not your credit score. You can have a credit score of 2, but if you earn over 200,000 every year, you're an accredited investor.
It's interesting you say that. That's where I was, years ago before the crash. And I got all these calls about being an accredited investor. I'm like, what are you talking about? Then I didn't know what that was. Yeah. I got guys calling me up trying to sell me oil and all these other things. Like,
oil and gas, yeah.
I figured it out because I made a little bit of money.
Yeah. It's funny. You get on a list somewhere, right? Some kind of marketing list somewhere.
I'm still wondering to this day how that happens.
I can tell you how it happens, but if I tell you, I'd have to kill you. I'm just
okay.
You gotta have some secret squirrel computer coder team members. You know what's crazy?
I guess so. Yeah.
You know what's crazy? What's this? So all across the country, there are what are called family offices. A family office, right? A family office has got a gatekeeper or a representative. That family office is usually 250 million in net worth or above. Absolutely. And they look for opportunities. So I was in a discussion with my business partners early in the process of putting this fund together to test its viability, stress test the market a little bit, see what's really out there. And we were talking about family offices as an avenue to approach for raising capital. And at one of our partners, while we were having the conversation, you'll appreciate this, he goes, "Hey, check your email." And I'm like, okay. And we pull up our email and there's an Excel spreadsheet on there. I said, "What's that?" He said, "I just wrote some code while we were talking to go scrape the internet, and it's pulled down every family office. Not just in America, he pulled a list the whole world." And I'm like, just threw all that in a spreadsheet. He goes, "Yeah, just to give you a taste of what's out there that we can approach." And I'm like, "I love you, man. I love you." That's what I said to him. And my other partner went, "He's hired." I said, I told you.
That is interesting.
Yeah, having that power for business operations is second to none. A lot of people have to outsource that. So for us, it's an in-house, right?
Right.
It's a true partnership. So that's they're out there, man. They know who we are. They know what we're doing. They know where we went on Facebook. They know what we said, what we saw, what we see. Right?
Yes. You mentioned now I have it here that you mentioned something about an ebook that they should go to the site and download.
Yeah. If you go to freedomventure.com, scroll down towards the bottom of that first page, I just finished a book with a friend of mine. He's a member of our board, a gentleman by the name of John Dessauer. John's been a prolific investor in the Chicago market and also down in the Florida Keys. 20 years of experience. So John and I put a book together, Unlocking the Code to Multifamily Investing. It's a light read, but it breaks down the power of commercial real estate. You know, people forget that most important thing, cash flow, money coming in consistently. Is your money getting up and going to work and creating cash flow? And multifamily has done that not just once, but it's done it since the dawn of time.
Definitely.
So there's a free book download there. Just punch in your information and you can download that ebook and enjoy a read, and then follow up with us if you've got any questions after.
Great stuff. So are you now? I know you said you're not in the education space anymore. So are you still mentoring? Are you still teaching people?
Yeah, I have. Yeah, that's a great question. I have a few people that still are within the Rolodex, for want of a better term, that I'll mentor and coach. If somebody out there is listening to this and they want to learn this game at a higher level, it's time, it's commitment. I don't ever want to go into any kind of relationship and then not deliver on what we create. But I probably would coach and mentor no more than 5 people a year tops. That massive world of millions of people being coached, and it's just a machine that is hard to run. So a few people here and there along the way, business coaching, entrepreneurial coaching, real estate. I entertain that, but it's nothing that you would find advertised anywhere.
Got it.
Until now.
Okay. So make sure when you flip the Rolodex again, Glenn Glasper's name shows up in there.
Oh, he's right there. He's right there. He's double G.
Double G.
Double G, the man for me, Glenn. That's it, buddy.
Definitely.
Sure,
Yeah, because it's now, because there's definitely certain levels or different levels to the business of real estate investing, and oftentimes, I get, many of my students are learning wholesaling. So when I teach them wholesaling, because that gives them a good bit of the basics of the world of real estate. Right. Some people want to get right into fixing and flipping and don't know how to even locate the right kind of property and analyze it to determine if it's the type of property that they want to fix and flip.
Right.
So, I can kind of take them through the basics of learning that, so that then they can graduate to what I like to call being a real life real estate investor. But I mean, you're now, what you're talking about is the epitome of being a real life real estate investor.
Sure. One thing I learned very early on in the single family game when I started was to be a competent wholesaler, you have to be a competent house flipper. It's exactly the same thing, brother. Just a different exit strategy. You take a little piece of the pie instead of a bigger piece of the pie, but you still got to bake the freaking pie, man. If you don't bake the pie the right way, it's going to taste like crap, And then you ruin your reputation. You ruin your reputation as a time waster rather than a professional. So,
definitely.
I get it, man. It's progression, man. It's progression. Just like we were talking before we started the call. Getting to buy and hold. And then you look at buy and hold and you say, okay, well, that machine's running kind of perfectly. It's purring. What's next? And syndicating right now, in my opinion, is too scary. It's too risk exposed. So we turn it up to the next notch. But the fundamentals stay the same. Like I said before, I never lost one time. I'm not going to start now,
Okay, good. So tell us, before we wrap up, I want to get your opinion and your knowledge about where you see the market going, and what should those of us that have $1 or $2 be doing? What should we be doing right now, and where do you see the market going?
Yeah, that's a great question, man. You're going to see an absolute correction in the single family marketplace. I don't believe it's going to be like 2008, because 2008 was a banking crisis more than a real estate crisis.
100% agree.
But if we look at the single family world, it still needs to be based in fundamentals and common sense, right?
Yes.
And right now, in 2008, it was propped up by a banking crisis. Well, in 2020, it's now propped up by a financial government crisis,
Yes.
right? We've doubled our debt, something ridiculous, right? We've doubled our debt to hold off. He's done everything in his power to keep his his economic growth on his tick sheet.
Yeah.
That has caused massive problems for my kids and my grandkids and my grandkids' kids, right?
Yes.
It's going to be generations to bring any of that in line. So what can we do today? We can go back to the fact that everybody needs somewhere to live, man. Everybody needs somewhere to live. So the transition is going to be out of that single family world. I know some guys who are very proficient with single family buy and holds. Your market, for example, Atlanta is good for single family buy and holds.
Right.
I would say get real estate under your belt as fast as you can. Buy it right, tenant it right, treat it like you said, like a business. Because it will be the payday that the rest of the world won't be able to give you. You know what I'm saying?
Yes,
Jobs can come and go, government subsidy can come and go, but as long as there's a decent business plan for cash flowing rental assets, you're always going to be okay. You're always going to be okay. Definitely. For us, we put it on steroids, and we do the larger projects in a fund. But to your point, if you've got a couple of bucks, get that relationship going ASAP. Find your local property managers who manage singles or maybe duplexes, triplexes, something like that. Economies of scale. It's all under one roof instead of under three roofs. Right. Economies of scale also says if I got 4 tenants and one of them doesn't pay, I should still be okay, right?
Absolutely.
So that's just the basics. But there's going to be a shift. There's going to be a massive shift. It's coming. A lot of people are doing the ostrich thing and pretending it's not. I'll stick my head in the sand. Go down in the bunker and wait for the tornado to pass. And, but other people, folks listening to your show, us, I mean, we're in action during these times of crisis to set something up. So bottom line, cash flow, big scale like us, cash flow, small scale, whatever it takes, but focus on cash flow because that's what will carry an investor through the next phase.
Absolutely. Dave, listen, you've given us some definite gems to cash in. And one of the major takeaways I want to make sure people are paying attention to, and when you said it is, make sure you're keeping your cash flow going. And I think many times people get in the idea of real estate investing, especially in the way of fix and flip. That's not cash flow.
No,
that's cash influx.
That's right.
But
I
it's
like
not
it.
cash flow. And as you mentioned earlier, it's fixing and flipping is nothing more than a glorified job. And that's what I realized. Actually, when I was transitioning, when I got back into doing that, this time around, I said, wait, I can't go back to the same thing I was doing before because I want to build up the capital, which has been great. But that capital doesn't get a return if it's just sitting somewhere and not going to work,
Right. When you've got the skill set to move not only your own capital towards cash flow, but bring on private investors, private lenders, syndicated deals, and then kicking it up to fund type transactions, you're doing a fantastic service, man. You just are. You just are. There are people right now in your community, whoever's listening to this, there are people in the community who are looking at retirement accounts and retirement strategies, and they're scared. They're scared. And if they can find a way to find you and you put their capital to work, it's cash flow for them. It's cash flow for you. So you can do great works, make great money and do great works. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. It's America, right?
Absolutely. Dave, listen, I won't keep you. And I know you got a lot of other stuff going on. I want to say thank you again for spending time with us today. Again, like I said, I feel like I stole an hour from you.
No, you're good. You're good, man. You're all good. I appreciate the time you spent with me. Thank you.
And we're certainly going to be doing some additional things together, having some additional conversations. And I want to have you come back. Because, I know, from what you're doing and the information that you're sharing, is definitely going to be a part to this to let people know, kind of the update of what you got going on.
Yeah, so, absolutely.
Thank you.
You're welcome, brother. All right, God bless.
And I'll certainly be reaching out to you, and we're gonna, certainly be talking about, what we're gonna work on going forward. So thank you
good.
again.
All right,
thank
brother.
you all for tuning in. Thank you for watching the Real Life Real Estate Investing Show. This is the show where we talk about real life real estate situations and we bring you real life real estate solutions. And again, thank our guests. Dave, I want to give you an opportunity to share with the folks. I know we gave the website. Is there another way that folks can reach out to you via social media, or is there a number?
Yeah. Good. Just there's a website called Google, Google. If you go there and you punch in my name, LinkedIn is good for business. You can find me on LinkedIn. Just Google Dave Seymour. There's a couple of Facebook pages. Dave Seymour Live is the Facebook page. You can find me there. I don't know about the friend thing. I think you have to go to the other page for just jumping on there, but it's all pretty much, similar, streamlined information, and love an opportunity to help where I can. So yeah, reach out.
Yeah. And I definitely want to tell folks to check out your YouTube videos, because you got some great stuff, great information you're sharing on there.
Yeah, good.
Definitely.
Yeah. YouTube channel. You can find that through Freedom Venture.
Absolutely. Dave, can't thank you enough, man. We'll definitely be talking soon. Have a wonderful rest of your day. Stay COVID free, and have a great one. All right, have a good one.
Take care.